Rum is one of the most popular spirits in the world, but did you know its history? Stay tuned and I'll explain it all on Let's Talk Drinks. Hey guys, welcome back. So what is rum? It's actually a liquor that's made by fermenting and distilling sugarcane juice, sugarcane molasses, or sugarcane honey. Produced all over the world, it became commercially produced in the Caribbean and American countries. The origin of its name is unclear, but we believe that it's got to do with rum bouillon. And rum bouillon was a beverage that was made by boiling sugarcane stalks. And where does sugarcane come from? Despite being known as a plant of the Caribbean, it actually originated in New Guinea, and its cultivation could be dated back to 6000 BC. Believe it or not, the Caribbean was one of the last places where the plant spread. It made its way from New Guinea to Southeast Asia and India at about 1000 BC. From India and China, it made its way to the Middle East and Northern Africa, and it was then introduced to Spain via the Moors when they conquered Spain. And the sugarcane that the Moors took to Spain was from Egypt. Once southern Spain took back their lands from the Moors in the 1400s, they then started taking sugarcane all around the world. This is when Christopher Columbus takes it to what's known now as the Dominican Republic. From there it was also transported to neighbouring islands and the Caribbean. Sugarcane loved the tropics of the Caribbean because it grew so well there. And by the 1600s, sugarcane was also used to make rum. Huge parts of the Caribbean and South America were cleared to plant sugarcane. However, this needed a huge workforce to be able to cultivate the plant. With the extremely hot and harsh conditions and the lack of native Indians, it was hard for the farmers to actually get people to work on their plantation. And you see, this is where it got really ugly. This is where the serious, dirty past of rum started. You see, due to the lack of workers, this is where the plantation owners started using slaves. With the French and the British colonised in a lot of these areas, what they did is they started making some rules to protect their own domestic alcohol. They made rules that made it illegal to be able to import any alcohol or distilled spirits from any of the colonies. So the molasses, which is a leftover byproduct of making sugar, was sent to America to be distilled into rum. These traders in New England became extremely rich in what was known as the notorious triangular trade. Their ships filled with American-made rum were transported to Africa, where they were there traded for slaves. The slaves were then transported to the Caribbean, where they were then traded and swapped for molasses, sugar and money. And unfortunately, the slaves were made to work on the plantations. The sugar and molasses was then transported back to New England in America, and therefore this triangle just continued. During these voyages, up to 30% of the slaves died in squalid conditions. It's believed over 3 million slaves were stolen during this time. At these times on the plantations, rum was given to slaves also to keep them subdued and to keep some of them happy. However, the masters continued to drink brandies, eau de vies, fortified wines that were brought over from Europe. You see, at that time, rum wasn't popular at all in England and America. England had its own little gin craze happening. By around 1775, there were grain shortages in England, so they did start delivering molasses back to England, and that's when the English started making their own rums. Unfortunately, the slave trade continued for many, many years. Eventually, it was removed, and now rum, as you know, is enjoyed and drank all over the world. So that's the history of rum as we know it. We've got to say a cheers now, thankfully, that slavery isn't around anymore, and hopefully rum is produced a lot safer, and everybody that makes it and their workers are treated a lot better. Enjoy your rum, guys, and we'll talk soon on Let's Talk Drinks.